Look, I can't believe we're talking about this. It's just embarrassing.
You Roman pig. You should consider yourself lucky. I don't just kill you now.
Okay, sure thing, tough guy. Come over here and try it.
Even if I die, the Valkyries will take me to Valhalla, where they'll be feasting, laughing, and fighting.
Oh yeah, Valhalla. Okay, well, you want to know one thing they don't have in Valhalla?
And what is that?
Roads, plumbing, aqueducts.
Enough talk. We fight.
Easy, guys, easy. What's going on here? This simple-minded barbarian over here thinks he can beat me in a fight. Oh, don't you think the whole warrior versus warrior trope is getting old? I mean, if Deadliest Warrior taught us anything, it's that you really can't say one way or another. It's just conjecture. You can test weapons and things like that, but everyone's gonna get mad and you're gonna end up just looking like an idiot at the end of the video.
What does a little woman suggest we do?
Woman? Really?
You have a sling. A sling is a woman's weapon.
You know what? I'm just gonna let that go. Why don't we simply do an old-fashioned weapon test? You guys can pick a weapon from the era and see how they perform against each other.
Excellent suggestion, little girl. What shall we test? Will it be the sword, or will we test the axe?
You know what? For once, I actually agree. I think that's a great idea. You know what I choose? I choose Pilum versus spear.
Oh, I do not think this will go well for me.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerd and nerdettes. I am back from my vacation, and I had a great time. And I don't want to say that Dash Rendar's gains intimidated Darth Vader, but I think they did. I was missing the shoulder pads, unfortunately, but he knows what's up. So in this video, we are going to a good old-fashioned weapons test. Now, last video, when I used the Pilum and Pila, which is plural, thanks to everyone who helped me out with that, it did astoundingly well. Pilum did so well, it honestly kind of made me think, why would it go out of fashion? And I wanted to test and see how it did against different types of steel armor. So that's gonna be kind of the synopsis of this. I'm gonna use the spear and the Pilum against steel up to varying grades. So 16 mild, Brigandine, and then hardened steel by Decretum to finish it off and see if it in fact works well against more late medieval period armor and if it would have been viable in that time. But before I do the throws, the one thing I think was a missed opportunity that a lot of people asked about is that Pilum was used as a spear in close quarters. It could be used for a thrusting weapon as well. So I want to test and see how it does against the wooden shield versus this initially to start, and then we'll start stretching it back and bringing different armor types out there. Initial test number one is going to be thrust with the spear and then thrust with the Pilum against this wooden shield. I'll try and hit an uncompromised spot. So it's going to be like in this area here. Probably it's not overly damaged. Okay, so with the thrust, it was very similar. The Pilum was here and the spear was right here. So it really didn't change too much. That was definitely something you can see. Like, it was crazy with the throw versus the thrust, how much more power you get with the throw as opposed to just a standard thrust. So it works, but it's not going to be more devastating than anything else in this anecdotal little test here. So next up, we are moving on to the shield. This is the base initial lower level test. This is a 16 gauge mild steel shield. It's taken a lot of abuse. It's pretty durable, but I want to see how it does compared with a spear versus a Pilum, because I want to see how that does against an actual steel shield. That was a pretty good initial stick. That was right here. So I actually made it through the steel, not all the way through, but that gives me a lot of hope for the power of what the Pilum will do. So the first throw was here. I didn't quite clear the tip, so it wasn't a good throw. The second one, I was like, I want to do that again, was right here. So that easily went through to here. And that means, oh, great, that we're this deep through. So that's gonna cause problems. That's gonna be enough to penetrate into the shield and then probably into the person behind it, depending on what they're wearing for armor. So definitely showing it's vastly superior against this mild steel. Next up, we have this Brigandine here. This is overlapping steel plates. The front of it's been pretty destroyed, so I'm gonna put it on backwards. This takes a little bit of damage, but not too much. So I'm gonna test it against this on the dummy here. So we are starting with the spear. Again, I just wanna say as well, there's a lot of different types of spears in history. This isn't like the only one that exists, but this is just the one that I have. It's got a long head, it's good for throwing. So I feel like it's a good middle of the road spear to test with. And now for the Pilum. So for that, results oftentimes speak for themselves, and that's definitively one that makes a point there. The first one was here, and it must have hit an odd spot to where it just didn't penetrate well, it bounced off. The second one here went in through, that one in, so that one went in about that deep. The tip's right there. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get that out as well. Again, there we go. So that second one was much better into it. Probably gonna need to resharpen this, but yeah, the spear was right up top here. So the spear, the first throw was here. So that went into it just a little bit there. Nothing crazy. Pilum was right in here at that point as well. So it works against this also. So that's been it's pretty cool so far. Let's say someone has some riveted mail and a padded gambeson behind it. So this is well-made riveted mail. It's been through a bit, so I'll try and not hit the spots that have already been damaged, but let's see how that fares against the spear or in the Pilum. So for that one, it's hard to tell exactly where it hit, unfortunately, on mail. So I'll have to watch it back again, but it probably poked into it a little bit and then bounced out because of the padded gambeson. And I'm gonna need to resharpen this before the next test is the other reason. But let's go ahead and see comparatively how the Pilum does. All right, so that one, let me see here. Yeah, so that one was through and through. So that went through the riveted mail, busted it open, went through the padded gambeson, and would have gone into you in a very horrible way. So yes, still extremely useful against mail. Quick resharpening for each of these, so they're much sharper now before I go into the next test, because this next one is the 1.5 millimeter C60 hardened steel from Vikings. Now the only thing I've ever gotten through this was the 100-pound compound bow with the bishop arrows. And that was right here. The only thing that's penetrated it, this was from Gron. But I kind of cheated on that one. So I want to see how these do against it. This is like the upper echelon of what armor went to historically. And so we're gonna see how an ancient weapon does against hardened steel. So for these two tests here, it's gonna be a close-up shot. So I'll do a throw and it's gonna be spliced in with me hitting it because I really wanna see the impact well. And I don't wanna lose the tip by hitting it and doing it again. So it's gonna be close up and I'll splice it together. You can really see is how well it's glancing, and the one hit right here, I think it just kind of pushed off to the side. Down here it pushed down, so the hardened steel is really making it difficult to get any sort of traction, and the tip is already blunted by just like those two strikes, so it's definitely winning. That shot is about as direct as you can get, and that was right here. So that hit, give a little dent to it, nothing serious, didn't poke out the back or anything, and then it glanced off and went down low. So I am confident to say, this poor thing. Check that out. Oh man, I mean, these are meant, to bend. They're long and it's iron and everything, so it's gonna happen over time, but got to hammer that back out. But I'm confident to say getting right here is the upper limit threshold of what you can do. Still performed very admirably, but was not enough to get through, and it didn't break. So anytime I get a new toy, I don't break it right away. Makes me happy. And just because I'm out here now, I'm a little curious to see. I want to see how this axe will do against this hardened steel or this hardened plate. I'll probably try and hit it right there. Yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, I would say, let's see here. So that was right here. So it scuffed it a little bit. The main impact was here along the edges there, but just aside from that divot in there, scratched the surface, but not enough to go through. The Pilum did do well against mild steel and not overly strong, but I can definitely see when you get to the point when you have hardened steel and you're covered in plate, this thing's not going to do enough to get through. And at that point, you're just carrying around dead weight. So having a projectile to throw against that is not going to do well. But if someone is in mail, padded gamison, even brigandine, it's going to do some work. So is this still viable? Certainly, more so than just like a standard spear would be for throwing. However, it's not as versatile, I feel, when you're in the point with the melee. This is going to be a better balanced weapon. I think it'll work a little bit better. And so spears, they stuck around for a real long time because they did a very good job. The longer ones like the Cerisas and everything, and even in later period with the pikes, they're versatile. But if you have something like this, it really has one job to do and it does it very well. But even Rome ended up abandoning these in later time periods. Now, I still think it could have been viable. I don't know why it was done because it performs really well against mail. But over the span of history, the spear is going to be the one that stands as the best, most versatile weapon overall. And on a quick note for upcoming projects, I am working on a 2-part video with Pilum. We are putting together footage right now. He's gonna do the first video. I kind of filmed my stuff for his portion, and he's gonna put it on his page, and then we're gonna do something for my page as well. So keep an eye out. We're still working on it together, but it's gonna be really fun. I'm super excited, and it's gonna be good stuff. So that's coming sometime in the next few weeks, so keep an eye on his page.